Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Winter Championships. We've got our second match up on deck. We're about ready to see Naniwa facing off versus DongRaeGu. A great matchup here as arguably two of the best players in that pool go head-to-head.
DongRaeGu versus a large water bottle and Naniwa. There he is. And now, you know, that win rate underneath Naniwa's slate, 58%, I honestly feel like is the most deceptive statistic, period. Naniwa at the Winter Arena knocked out Nest-T. He knocked out Leenock. There was another Zerg player he knocked out, super, ultra, mega, giga top tier, and only barely lost to DRG. Like Tasteless was saying earlier, largely due to exhaustion. So honestly, that shouldn't say 58%. That should be like 58% in gold with like a qualifier. He is stunningly, stunningly good in that matchup.
You know, I want to point out too, just taking a look at the historical matchups between these two. There have been four of them total. They faced off in Anaheim 2011 where Naniwa suffered a loss. However, at MLG Providence 2011, that is where he did achieve victory there over DRG with a 2-0. And then a DreamHack winner, we saw a 2-1 loss to DRG. Finally, MLG Winter Arena, we just mentioned it, after going through nearly every single Korean Zerg, he was about to be labeled the Korean Zerg Slayer. He unfortunately fell, but there you can see his accomplishments. And Naniwa, really unique play style, and I'm curious to see how exactly he'll do.
I mean, look at all those wins he has and his accomplishments. I mean, if you went swimming with all his medals, you would drown and no one would ever be able to find you because you would sink to the molten core of the earth, DJ Wheat.
Yes.
He is always coming up with new ways to play. And honestly, the best aspect of his gameplay is his stubbornness. A lot of people, in terms of, you know, like conversational, think stubborn is a bad thing. Not in StarCraft 2. It's so easy to do a style, lose with it, and say, better do a different style. The better players hold on a little bit, try to make that style work, and abandon it shortly thereafter. Naniwa will drill a single style, thousands of games, finding out every little teensy-tiny optimization, and that is why no matter what position he is in, he always manages to find another way to come back and win.
Yeah, he's also been kind of experimenting with some different openings versus Zerg as well, which have kind of been, you know, we haven't seen too much of. And versus a competitor like DRG, I don't expect to see anything less than standard for the start here. But anything can happen. Naniwa has certainly matured as a player so much. And I mean, really in-game, he's just kind of developed himself as a great Protoss player.
Now, I do want to note that DRG is probably the one player that Naniwa could lose to very easily in this first round. In those accomplishments, though the list might not be as long, I think the one you should really take a look at is that first in the Arena of Legend, the King of Kong's Cup, second in the Blizzard Cup, DongRaeGu has elevated himself to status as the best Zerg player in the world as of late.
Yeah, and you know what? He was not happy with his loss to Marine King Prime at Winter Arena. And there has got to be a certain amount of fire inside the heart and the soul of this player right here after just seeing him suffer a defeat in the way that he did. He had a long road as well. And, you know, honestly, managed to bring it back. So, I mean, here's a new DRG. It's a fresh tournament. It's a fresh start right here. And I'm really excited. Now, yeah.
You know, there's a couple of other results that we want to bring to you. Now, you've been watching this stream.
Right.
Maybe you've caught the results on some of the others, but in that group where Marine King Prime did manage to defeat MC, the other match that was going on was Sase Ganji. The one thing that we talked about was Sase's unique play style, and it defeats Ganji 2-1. I
think he means business, man. We weren't kidding around when we said that that Sase was a player that you needed to watch out for. He is in the group with 3 other Koreans, kind of as the lone foreigner, and what a great way for him to kind of be hey, I'm here, and you guys can't forget that you've got to go through me if you want to get out of this pool. So a fantastic victory for him. Also in the open bracket, some news, Stefano and Polt will meet again if all of their games are won. And
they're in that same bracket.
Yeah, I mean, how the stars align, I'm not sure in whose favor, but after the recent victory from Stefano, I got to imagine he's perfectly fine with that.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Pool C, where we have Huck, Violet, Rhett, and Sokka. We said that that was one of the more unpredictable groups. One of the matches, Huck versus Sokka. Do you have the results on that?
Yes, I do. It actually was a 2-0 in favor of Huck. And that will be the first game that was played there.
I almost want to say that's not a surprising result. As we saw from Huck in the last several tournaments, he has shown that his PvP is tip-top notch. He doesn't just win PvPs closely, he dominates them consistently, taking down MC and MLG Orlando with relative ease. And I'm really consistently blown away at the new styles that Huck brings to that PvP matchup as well.
Now, one other result, then let's shoot it over to Tatostis so we can get an idea of what they think about what's gone down so far, is that Violet defeats Rhett 2-1 in a ZVZ. And we knew that for both of them, that was going to be one of those matchups that, you know, could make or break where they end up. But Violet ends out on top. Nick and Dan, you've heard some of the results that we've seen so far. We've also got some other open results. Any of these surprise you at all?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Violet Rhett one is a little bit of a shock, but you know, Rhett is one of these players. I feel like he's always going to get deep into a tournament. And tell me if you agree with this. I don't feel like he's somebody who's going to be consistently winning tournaments year long.
Violet?
No, Rhett.
Oh, Rhett.
Well, you know, right now it's hard for anyone to do that. Who's doing that right now? Maybe MC, you know, Marine King is on kind of a little tear, maybe DRG, but that's about it. So yeah, it's kind of hard for Rhett to go ahead and do that. Like, is he favored to win this tournament? I'm not sure, but you know, with his new and improved ZVP, it's possible.
All right, question for all three of you nerds.
Okay.
Yes, Nick?
Who is going to win this?
This
DRG
tournament?
or this match? We're going DRG or Naniwa. If you had to choose, Artosis, you go first.
I think I'm going to have to take DRG. I think he's the best player in the world right now.
Okay, fair enough.
But close.
Marcus, Day9, DJ Wheat, Day9.
Go ahead, Sean.
You know, I will say, we saw Naniwa lose 2 games to Rhett fairly easily last weekend at the training LAN. And if Naniwa has had any amount of time to change his style, sure, that can help. But I think the key difference is that Rhett was doing a very late game focused style. And DRG tends to not be that much of a hive rusher in the way that Stefano, now Rhett, a lot of others are starting to pick up on. I think DRG is going to be a lot stronger with his mid-game pushes, and I think that is Naniwa's strength. I do think DRG will probably win, but I think it'll be a close win 2-1.
Okay, I actually would say 2-1, and I'm just going to be the odd man out, and I'm going to say Naniwa, and here's why. Because Naniwa lost most recently to DRG at MLG Winter Arena, and if you look at Naniwa's statistics, one thing he's really good at is losing to guys and then coming back and kicking the crap out of them.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, I'm thinking that maybe if Naniwa's in the right frame of mind, he's got the skills to be able to do it. I think really the question would be is if he did, what kind of craziness, what sort of tailspin would that throw Pool be into? So, Nick, let me deflect the question back to you, buddy. Who do you think is going to win?
I am going to say Naniwa because every time I cast Naniwa games, if it's early on in the tournament and he's not fatigued, he's in that right mindset, I think he's got a very, very good shot.
Yeah, you know, I almost want to even change my vote back
to
Naniwa.
We got
a nerd flip-flopper here.
You know, well, it's so hard because Naniwa has, it's almost like there's 2 different Naniwas when it comes to tournaments. I mean, we've seen the Naniwa that, you know, has played in GSL tournaments, you know, going 0-3 close games but not really able to close the deal. We've seen him in some Clan League matches not really able to come out on top, losing to Rhett. I mean, even though Rhett is a phenomenal Zerg player, not the caliber of DongRaeGu. And then what did we see at Providence? He won that championship against Nestea. He won against Nestea twice. And then he went up against Lenok and fell. You know, it's just so hard to know what Naniwa is going to be coming to the table. That one that seems unstoppable or the one that falters to a lot of those mid-game pressures.
Okay, we've gone all the way down the line. Can we get our Artosis to now flip-flop back?
I'm not going to flip-flop, man. I think DRG can take it. I just want to look tougher than Day9. I'm not going to go ahead and change that opinion just because you guys have great points.
I am totally malleable. If you want to reconvince me, Dan, go for it. I just
DRG, man, he's the best Zerg in the world, right? Is he not?
He's the that's best true, in the world. Dan. I really think DongRaeGu's going to win this series, likely 2-1, but we'll have to see. Most important thing is that you can vote
Yes.
for the Xperia Sony Experience poll. Make sure to text 22333 with your vote of either Naniwa or DRG.
Yeah, who do you
Did I
want
get
to
those
win?
numbers
Who do you
right? Was
think
that
is
the right
going to
number
win?
of twos and threes?
I think so. There you go.
Oh,
You got it.
22333.
22333.
I'm like the Rain Man.
MVP DRG for DRG, and then Naniwa for Naniwa. And that's for you vote for who you think to win, or maybe, frankly, you just like DRG and you just want to throw a few votes his way. Be our guest.
All right,
We'll
I
tally
got a
those
question
later on.
right now.
Okay.
Let's do some investigative casting, guys.
All right.
What is a Naniwa?
It's from an anime.
It is.
It
I
is.
believe so, yeah.
Which anime?
I don't know. Naniwa?
The Nanny.
Could be.
It's
Not-
Nanny May.
Nanny
Down
May?
here.
Oh, man. All right.
oh,
All
looks like
right.
the
All
player-
right.
Yeah, I said it. I
All right, let's put a halt to the bad jokes here because we've got some good games coming up here. Both players are ready, guys. We'll return with your analysis of their game number one. DRG versus Naniwa. Crowd, are you ready for the second matchup here?
Crowd's been getting hungry. DRG from Complexity MVP, that dual partnership between foreign and Korean team. Naniwa from Team Quantic, whose roster has been getting so good as of late, adding on Sase. Some of their players like Theognis also performing well in the open bracket. Destiny there doing pretty nicely. And now the match begins on Antigua Shipyard in the right position. Complexity MVP's DongRaeGu.
And in the west position from Quantic Gaming, as the Blue Protoss give it up for Naniwa. Sounds like you may have a little bit of crowd backing right there, Sean, and you know, always getting that little bit of boost. But DRG knows what it's like to play up on that big stage. He's had so many victories where you know, really that's
a pylon on the high ground. Naniwa, one of his most favorite sayings is forge, expand, or die trying. What happened last time Naniwa and DRG met up on this map in the MLG arena? DRG 6 pooled, broke into Naniwa's front. Naniwa was going for a blind 15 Nexus, and he was punished verily.
And you know what? This kind of goes back to what I was saying about when Naniwa faces a player, he will not make the same mistakes twice. I mean, although in a series, we negate that. You talked about his stubborn play, and that's one of the things that actually makes him a better player. But overall in the series, now that it's finished and he's come back to it, this is something that he's obviously thought out. And there we go, as we see the gateway up on the high ground as well.
Now, Naniwa has been training in Korea in the Startail house. With his teammate and good friend, Quantic Sase. And Sase almost always goes one base into expand. Ends up with some very unusual, very aggressive timings. Much of this matchup, particularly in Korea, is a 2-basing, an early expanding Protoss versus the 3-basing Sir. So, I mean, really, DongRaeGu's experience set must be largely focused on that. So this could be kind of an uncomfortable situation.
I mean, taking a quick look, I'm just watching Naniwa. Yeah, we did have a fast expansion coming out here by DRG. Is the probe going to do anything sneaky here? It's going to at least chase him around. Oh, he tries to plant the pylon. He's going to go for it.
There it goes down.
Drones do come down. And he's got a lock on this one. You see this drone is on hold position to prevent any sort of lockaway there.
Oh, look at that. The drones come down. This is a brilliant play by Naniwa. He's trying to have those drones be off mining as long as possible, but the biggest key is that he is trying to make sure that DRG does not take a gas geyser. That way, we can see Naniwa follow up with a Zealot and Stalker aggression. Zealot number 1 has just popped out. Zealot number 2 being chrono boosted. Naniwa has only just begun to put units into assimilator. That was not a 13 assimilator. That was a 16 assimilator, a very late gas, and again, a very unusual play from Naniwa, looking very Sase-like.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what I was about to say. Very, very Sase-like, even to the point of watching Naniwa early on, he was rallying his probe perfectly the position of his second pylon. It pops just at 100 minerals. He put it down, then he had enough for the assimilator. I mean, really, really solid in terms of this tight build order. And here we see we do have this Zealot and the probe moving up with the buddy system. There are 4 Lings out right now, 2 additional on the way, but it should be drones at this point for DRG.
A chrono-boosted Stalker, Marcus, he is going to try to get out that aggression as fast as possible. Naniwa will no doubt go for that fast expand, but it looks like the engagement at the front as we see that probe marching his way in. The probe sees no Roach Warren. Naniwa is going to have a field day with this.
Yeah, he's got to be very happy with this. Already putting the pylon on the low ground means he's going to be able to drop that Nexus, and it does go down. Zealot, it was going to fall. He'll try to maximize the damage, but running away, he will get nipped in the butt by those Zerglings all the way home. Here comes Zealot too. He's going to go ahead and engage. Pulls Zealot one back.
Whoa!
Some good control there.
Nice little Juka Duke by Naniwa. It looks like he will lose that single. Zealot as DongRaeGu does manage to take it out, but this is exactly what Naniwa wants. He wants to force as many non-drone units as humanly possible.
And he's going to go for it.
Looks like he will continue to advance. Again, he got into that main. He didn't see the ripple on the pool. He didn't see a single Roach Warren in sight. 2 gateways being planted at the front, and this is going to be some pretty significant damage that Naniwa can deal.
Yeah, but he sees those eggs at the natural, I have to believe. He knows that Zerglings are out, so he has accomplished exactly what he wanted to do, because 8 Zerglings, and is he going to stop this, or is he going to deny this scout as well? It's going to see a gas. He's going to see gas too.
All the way in.
It's all the information's coming out there. He saw the Nexus, the 2 additional gateways on the low ground. Of course, we are going to see a 3rd coming out very quickly from DRG as a result of the information he just gathered there. But he also had to make 8 additional links, and he's now making 10 more. So I'm curious if maybe he might try 16, 18, and speed is about 20.
20
a lot
links.
of Zerglings about to come out here for DRG.
It's going to be a very thin defense here for Naniwa at the front. We see a probe from Naniwa. Oh, this probe is going to be so critical. As it's running away, it will see that link speed finish up.
Yeah, he will. In fact, he's going to go away. We have a lot more Zerglings on the way. Here they come, marching across the map. He's going to have to be ready here. He does have a couple of sentries.
Look at that placement.
He has made a perfect wall here. Oh, and the army immediately identifies that there is something coming, and he has got to have those units back at home base. Warp Paper usage is gone.
Oh no. A very dangerous position for Naniwa's units. Will he get caught off guard? He manages to squeeze back in. Where is the force field?
God.
He's getting surrounded. The Zealot's taking some big damage, but Naniwa is not yet throwing down any force fields. He's doing some serious damage. There's the force field and a very nice play.
I mean, stuffed. All it really did was send a lot of those probes back to the main. He handled it nicely. He already had this forge in the pylon there to block any links from going in through the back. He got his units there perfectly, and he still had force fields to work with there. So ultimately, I mean, DRG only left with about 14 links here out of about the, 26 that he had total.
You know, you heard me talk a little bit about WoW. I mean, DongRaeGu might not be very comfortable with this style, but man, is he ever proving that statement wrong. Calmly getting his layer tech. It will be done a little bit after 9 minutes. Naniwa has to position that army kind of far forward because he really does want those 2 assimilators up and running the whole time. No other tech path has been elected by Naniwa, just building simply out of 3 gateways.
Yep, layer is going to be done here at the natural. He's got 1 spine crawler up as well. The Lings will just continue to sit there outside of his opponent's base. Like, they'll check the 3rd, move up, see if they can see anything going on inside the base or any additional unit comp that he's not having before. But where does Sase go from here? He's got the Twilight, excuse me, where does Naniwa go from here? He's got the Twilight Council down, and here we go, 2 additional gateways going down, so we can really start that unit production, make that a 3rd for a total of 5 gates. He's really chronoing out that +1 attack to get that ready. And, you know, we could see him maybe apply some pressure here very soon.
This is exactly the way that Sase plays this out. The biggest key will be that hallucination. It's going to do a little poke and try to see if there needs to be any kind of robotics facility thrown down. He sees a lot of roaches. He will need to throw it down for the observers, but for the most part, Naniwa is positioning himself to take somewhat of a fast 3rd. We see a probe there positioned at the front. Looks like he may want to swing forward.
You know what? We saw Sase do some really unique stuff with the hallucination.
Yeah.
He's going to just, it looks like it's just going to be a Phoenix hallucination, but we saw Sase also hallucinate warp prisms to try to just fake the drops, just showing them and moving them back. Doesn't look like we're getting into any sort of those shenanigans here, but the Phoenix will move over. Scout is going to check the 3rd as we start to see the roaches emerge. He is going to catch a few of these Lings off guard and send them in. And he's starting to move forward now.
Yeah, I mean, the Phoenix getting a good sense of everything that's going on. It sees that Roach Warren doing its little, little shimmy with its organs, letting him know that the Roach speed is up and coming. But the important thing is that should Naniwa see that burrow incoming, he can easily retreat.
Naniwa is going to move forward, and there are Lings and there are Roaches at the front door of Naniwa. He might force all these units back, but he also might have an attack right into the main. There's cannons going up, but they're not quite done.
Oh, Naniwa now morphing in a bunch of those sentries to be able to force field. A nice force field does go down. Those 2 extra cannons from Naniwa finishing up will be a critical defense. And there it looks like DongRaeGu on the high ground to his 3rd base, also being invaded. The 3rd is moving up, and Naniwa sees the burrow. Naniwa falls into a huge trap at the 3rd. getting surrounded very easily. Blink is not yet done. He needs that so badly. He needs to retreat. There's another line of cornfields, and it looks like Naniwa will be forced to blink out in a retreat. Meanwhile, at the natural expansion, we see 2 roaches also still doing a little bit of damage, and Naniwa has been completely shut down. Oh my god, look at the food differential. 128, 59.
Wow, the robotics facility going down right now, but at this point it's more about, well, what am I going to be able to do to try to defend against this legion of roaches and lings that are heading down towards my base. The third is not up yet. He's moving a few stalkers out, and that is going to be a big mistake as he moves back. He's got to be careful there. He does have blink now, but he just simply cannot go up against this number of roaches.
Naniwa trying to kite the roaches as best he can, has to do a blink to retreat. Couple of sentries there at the front, but will he lose this one stalker? It looks like no, but still DongRaeGu streaming forward in gigantic numbers.
And there we see one of the gateways go down. That leaves, of course, a way for the roaches to get in. So force fields do manage to push a lot of those back, but a couple of slip in right in through the front. And Naniwa is really spread thin here across his base.
Oh, DongRaeGu hitting any building he can. The 2 roaches in the main starting to get whacked away a little bit thanks to the emergence of that one observer. And now we see another reinforcement from DongRaeGu. Force fields go down. Naniwa gets completely surrounded, and DongRaeGu storms the natural.
Wow, I mean, these low health stalkers getting picked off one by one. Focus firing here by DRG. He's still got these 2 roaches inside the main. They've got tunneling claws, so even with an observer in that one cell there, he can't do anything. And these roaches move further and further.
And it's a good game.
GG.
DongRaeGu
choked him out
with a convincing Game 1 win. Naniwa, though, did have one of those trick up his sleeve builds. Used a style that is not very normal for him, is not the fast forge expand. Naniwa could have something big planned for Game 2.
Well, we'll ask Tasteless and Artosis what they think about that. I mean, also in that particular battle, you know, he let his opponent get up to 3 bases, and you get DRG up to 3 bases, it's going to mean a lot of units. Guys, what do you think?
You know, I think the build was really smart by Naniwa because Naniwa has publicly said that he thinks the only way to play PvZ is to do a fast expand. So essentially, he made it look like there was some kind of a cannon rush going on when he planted that pylon, some shenanigans coming from Naniwa, and then it turns out that, in fact, Naniwa is doing a 1-base build. The problem is that, let's just say that hypothetically Naniwa actually sees StarCraft exactly the way it should be, in the most optimal way. Even if he tricks DRG, he still didn't do a fast expand build, so he's still in trouble.
Yeah, you know, I actually think that's really telling, though, that Naniwa is prepared very well for this tournament. As I think you were saying before, Naniwa is someone that once he gets beaten, looks at that player and says, okay, I'm not going to lose this player again.
Come on, Artosis, that was me, man.
Oh, well, you two look the same anyways, whatever.
All right. We're both handsome, you're right. Tasteless. It was all you, Tasteless. All you, man.
So, I mean, he's switching up his style completely here, which is actually really impressive. Even if he loses to DRG here, I think Naniwa is going to have a great tournament.
Well, you know, it's an indication of a flexible player. You know, there was a period of time where we were very critical of Hydra because we all knew that Hydra wouldn't cheese early on in a game. And, you know, with Naniwa, if you remember in the Winter Arena, the Koreans started doing hard counter builds to fast expanding Protosses. So it looks like he extrapolated, you know, all the information from that, all that data, and says, okay, I'm going to come into this with another approach. I'm going to open up this tournament with a different build and see if I can't throw DRG off. Let's say DRG decided that Naniwa was going to do another fast expand build, and DRG just instead went in there with one of these, you know, like a 6 pool, just sent the lings right in there. Well, then he's in a big trouble because Naniwa can hold.
Absolutely.
And I will say, the biggest thing that terrifies me about DRG's play in that last game is that, like you said, Tasteless, Naniwa almost always forge expands. You know DongRaeGu had to be expecting that, especially on Antigua Shipyard. And what does he do? He goes hatch first. Huge vulnerability to cannon rushes. A lot of people say you literally cannot go hatch first against Protoss because of the cannon rush. How would DRG have dealt with that? I think we may very well find out in game number 2.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we return, game number 2, it is going to be on Shakura's Plateau, chosen by Quantic Naniwa. I'm DJ Wheat.
I'm Day 9. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 between Naniwa and DRG right after this.